Welcome back for another edition of Real Estate Roundtable. I'm Rob Moore, and I'm joined again by Echo Properties owner Jeff Lichtenstein. And today we're going to talk about how the real estate world and Echo Properties in general is dealing with COVID. So, hey Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing good. We're over in Sanibel right now, escaping for 3 or 4 days. So it's beautiful over here. It's amazing how many places within Florida that you can visit, you know, whether it's here or going to St. Augustine or Orlando or Miami, you know, the Keys, you know, just within Florida that you can do. But we're doing all the same things we do over there, but we just wanted to get away for 4 days.
It's always great to change scenery and be outside, you know, it's breathe in the fresh air and take it in, and you can still socially distance. That's what we did when we went to the Keys. So I hope you guys are enjoying your time.
Yeah, we rented a cottage for 4 days that's right off of a bay, and across the street's the beach. And there's we took out last night from a restaurant called the Mad Hatter. That was pretty amazing. But you know, everything here is really, you know, it's good stuff.
Good. So today we're going to talk about you know, the coronavirus, COVID-19, and how real estate, the real estate industry is dealing with it, and us specifically at Echo Properties. So I'll let you take it away, Jeff.
Yeah, well, yesterday we actually had our first, you know, I get here, we're on vacation, and boom, we had an incident. And one of our photographers tested positive for COVID. And the great thing was she let us know immediately. So I got an email late last night, and we immediately, you know, alerted everybody, you know, that happened, and went into, you know, who that person was in contact with. And then, you know, from there, everybody went for testing, and then we called and emailed everybody who may have had contact with it. So that was clients or those types of things. So a lot of it was limited because when we have a vendor in the house, our policy has been, whether it's, and they're our own vendors, so it's not some outside vendor. So it's our photographer, it's you doing video, you know, etc. We have one person at all times that's alone in the house. We ask the customer to leave, and we do it for exactly this, you know, particular reason. In this case, the customer was never in the house with the person, and you know, it's a much better situation. So we alerted the customer last night. You know, I got an email back that says, "Thank you so much for your email. We hope you remain well and will not experience any serious health issues. We appreciate that the team from Echo Properties has practiced all appropriate health and safety measures in order to conduct business. Photos are beautiful. We are both fine and wish you well. You know, best regards." So I think that's, you know, as well as, you know, we can handle it. In the office, our policy has been, you know, when you come in, you're to wear a mask. Wear a mask when you're coming in. Wear a mask in the hallways. If you're in your own private office, you know, you can take your mask. You can take your mask off. And we have all sorts of, you know, the disinfectants and everything. And then in the field, it's been, you know, one at a time, you know, in a house, wear a mask, you know, policy. When there's vendors in the house, we're doing it. And a lot of us are, you know, you're young, and a lot of our team is, but you know, our concern is, you know, we have older clientele in a lot of cases, or we have people aren't thinking about this. We have people who know of somebody who has an underlying health condition. So we may have somebody who's perfectly fine and healthy and young, and you know, odds of anything happening are more remote, but they have somebody in their family that has an underlying conditions. And there's more of those than, you know, people realize out there. You know, because I'll come into contact with 60 people in our group, and you start, you know, everybody tells me their situation, so I'm aware more of it, I think, than I would be if I was not in that position.
And I have to say, Jeff, you took the lead on this, and I'm getting a phone call as we speak here. You took the lead on this from day one. I mean, it seemed as the office shut down, everyone, you know, was working remotely during the beginning, and you made it your goal, or not goal, but just that everyone wears a mask in the office. And what you just went through, and when I go out to a video shoot, there's a few things that I do. You know, make sure that the client, of course, is not in the home. I wear gloves. I wear a mask. And if they'd like, sometimes we have booties that I can put on my feet. Normally, I just take my shoes off, so I have my socks on. walking around the house. But, you know, just a way to protect, like you said, our clientele. Some elderly people, some people with underlying conditions, maybe some people that don't know they have underlying conditions, and we're just trying to, you know, help prevent the spread and you know, them getting sick. And I have to
You don't
say,
know the person. We only found out on the person who had it because they were going to an event, and the event required them to get tested, and then the testing, you know, showed it, and totally asymptomatic with no symptoms, you know, whatsoever.
and you know, I remember, you know, I said to you the other day when I talked to you on the phone, I've been working remotely for a long time now, doing a lot of these Zoom interviews and business interviews, and you know, I've been back in the field shooting listing videos now, but I hadn't been to the office since probably, I don't know, maybe the end of March,
Right.
April. And I go to the office, you know, the other day to shoot a video, and unfortunately, I came in contact, not fortunately, but came in contact with the person who, you know, tested positive. But you know, the person sent an email to you. You sent it to the entire staff. The entire staff knew about it if they were in contact with that person. You know, I woke up the next day, saw the email. You know, got a little nervous at first, but you know, I knew I'd be fine. I'm, you know, younger, as you said, but I went and I scheduled a test at the Fit Team ballpark. That's the antigen test, actually, and I have another test coming up this morning after this with
Yeah,
CVS.
everybody's getting multiple tests because you know, one test is more accurate. You know, there's false positives. She may even be false positive, you know, for we know. But what's what the test you're getting today? That's the more accurate test, isn't it?
Yep, that's the one I'm getting at CVS, and it takes, I think they said, with depending on the how many people they have, it could take up to 6 to 10 days for results. So, but still, it's a way to make sure that, you know, we're protecting ourselves first and foremost, and our families and our clients. And you've done a great job in taking the lead with that. And all our agents know that. That's policy. That they had to sign off on that. That's policy.
That's correct. Yeah. So it was, when it happened, it's a hard thing because you don't know what, you know, there's all sorts of information out there, and it's hard to believe what it is. But you know, the policy has been to play it safe and socially distance as much as possible and be as protective as possible. And you still got to be conducting business, you know, in the real world. So, you know, we still do, you know, that we do in-person showings. We've been doing it, you know, for as long as it's been allowed. We do in-person open houses, which we distance in open houses, and we allow no more than 4 people in the open house at one time. We're a very social office, and I think that we learn more from, we're very team oriented. It's just how our structure is very different than most real estate companies, where the agent's doing everything on and contracting everybody out. So a lot of training internally, and there's a lot of camaraderie internally. So it's been a hard session, but you know, we've worked at trying to have good balance, you know, with it in an internal office situation. But out of it, there's some really cool things that have developed from COVID. One that happened this week is, you know, we're in positions where there's different job sharing. So somebody goes down, and you've got to be able to be a utility player and then fill that other person's, you know, shoes, so that the world doesn't stop. So, you know, having 2 photographers, for instance, and the other photographer now is doing the, you know, the VR, and how we're doing write-ups and who fits in for somebody if there's, you know, somebody's off for closing coordination and stuff like that. So some of that's really, really interesting. It's reworking and making everybody smarter about the overall process. And then, you know, internally, I was never on Zoom, you know, or any of this stuff before. I've been with computer guys or people done this different, you know, but we're able to do a listing presentation on an online format now that is pretty robust and can really explain better what we do in a 30, 40-minute presentation going through it on the computer than can in person. So that's a major takeaway. We went to all 3D VR, which the technology existed, but it wasn't out there enough in the field. And when we do the VR, the amount of clicks, whether it's our website or Zillow, is 150% up. It's just such a giant number because the end client is searching for VR, 3D VR, and they're searching for it on an online basis. It's extremely labor intensive. So when we go to a home, it's about an hour per 1,000 square feet. So if you have a 3,000 square feet home, it's going to take 3 hours. We've got it down a little bit, but it's a long process and it's costly to put on there. But we've decided to do that for every listing that we've had. Not only because the clients want it, but also the searches. You're gonna get more showings on your home with this. And somebody in Boston, that's how they want to look. Or if you're in Florida here, they don't want to get out of, they're in bed and they want to search. It's just the way the world works today.
Well, it's the wave of the future, but it's here now. It got pushed ahead because of COVID. I mean, this was something that was going to happen eventually, but I think it just got rushed because COVID hit and people needed to find a way to do things virtually. You look at the sporting world, you're watching NBA games with no fans and they have the big screens with people like that are on Zoom, like, they're fans, like when they're shooting free throws or going like this to try to make them miss. And Oculus by Facebook, as we know, is something that's really, I mean, you can't even find an Oculus if you try to buy it. And
we bought one because I wanted to experiment with some of it for there, but we paid, I think, an extra $100 to get one. But I think a lot of the shopping is going to be done that way. I think, you're going to go try on clothes and you may not go into a physical store. It's going to take your size and you'll be able, there's different things that everybody's working frantically, but with a house right now in 3D, you can really walk it intimately and click on there. I don't know if you have one, Rob, you can play, but it's such an amazing product in there. And then what you do with video gives you a completely different, perspective and presentation. So we do a lot of stuff. We're doing 3D VR, we're doing video, we're doing HDR photography, we do night photography, we do aerials. For anything with Zillow, we do a 3D walkthrough tour professionally because that gets more clicks. And part of why you do all these things you don't know, the customer's shopping differently. So YouTube is the second biggest search engine. People shop video. You don't get video with still photography. Or with 3D, that's another way that they're searching. So all these different ways it might seem overkill in some way, but it all helps the end client find a home that you're marketing, and you're going to pop up more and you're going to get more search. It's more billboards. When if Geico's running ads, they just don't run it, only billboards. They're doing TV, and they just don't do TV on one station. They're doing Fox, they're doing CNN, they're doing NBC, they're doing, ESPN, they're doing the Home Shopping Network. You've got to hit all the different areas, and that's part of what is going on, right now. But lots of, really cool takeaways, with COVID that are going to enhance what we do.
And the greatest thing is, Jeff, everyone has one of these, if you can see, cell phone, right? And everyone's on this cell phone, they sleep with it. It's near their side. They're on it 24/7. So
do you have a name for your cell phone?
No, I don't actually. I guess I have my Jeep's name is Rocky, so I can't.
You should have a name for your cell phone.
I have to think about that. But everyone has this and they're constantly connected to it. And we do, at Echo Properties, we market the home I always tell people in hundreds of ways. I mean, with Facebook, with Vimeo, with YouTube, with LinkedIn, with Instagram, going live to all these platforms, our website. I mean, this is the team environment. And going back to COVID, having the team here at Echo Properties, you have that, backup catcher, right? In case the catcher gets hurt to come in, or the relieving pitcher to come in to help the starter out. We have that here. So if someone like, our photographer got sick, we still have other pieces in place so the process continues to move on and doesn't stall as a team. And when you're a single agent, that's hard.
It's almost like a football coach in your managing, where if you're in positions, you've got to think about injuries that happen. And if they do, where do you fit somebody in for that person? And even if, the person may not be feeling anything like right now, but you're doing it to protect, your clients and the community, in general. But Echo TV or Echo Streaming, what we're doing right now, we wouldn't be doing a roundtable. That product really, where we're doing a weekly discussion, came out of this. More importantly, we're able to showcase homes on a weekly basis And it's creating showings in different ways that people are looking by going live and streaming it, like you said, into LinkedIn or into multiple Facebook channels. And now we're doing it on the website, where every time we go live, it's going live on the website and there's an alert, which is really cool. But there's more looks this way, and the home is getting much more coverage than it would in any other format. Because in an open house, you may get, if you got 8, 12, 20 people, that's an open house and everybody's coming in at different hours. And within video or within streaming, they may be coming in all sorts of different mediums. So there's, 5 people on looking in LinkedIn at one time. There's 6 people on Facebook on this particular feed, but there may be another feed that they're on. There's 8 people looking on the website, and the amount of traffic that is generating is just fantastic. And that's happening on a daily basis.
And when it comes to the virtual open houses that you're talking about that we do, last week, one of our agents, Rachel, we got done with the virtual open house and she called me a half an hour later and she said, "You'll never believe this." I said, "What's that?" She said, "I got a phone call from a guy from Atlanta, Georgia, who was watching the live stream and was interested in a property." So that's just showing you, it's great to have the in-person open houses, but the virtual open houses is something that I don't think will ever go away personally.
No, it won't. Alyssa sold a house that way through it. And there's going to be more. I also think there's a lot of pent up demand right now that's going on. People are not traveling, especially from the Northeast, regions, whether they're in New York City or Midwest, because of different policies going on. And as we get closer to fall and winter, I see that there'll be more. We get maybe 40 to 60 buyer inquiries a day. We're the biggest buyer of Zillow leads in the area. We generate a lot from our own website and some other platforms that we use. We have 3 people answering the phone and taking care of these buyer inquiries that come in, and we're distributing them out. Obviously, pushing homes that we represent first, so they're aware of them. But the amount of backlog of people who are not down here, but they're in the Northeast or in the Midwest, or in Canada or wherever, that are not here, but they like coming here, that's building up. And so there could be a wave of purchasing that goes on at some point, especially as it starts to, as we get more into September and October.
And Jeff, the other thing I like to say just about going back to the team aspect at Echo Properties is, the email came out with a person who was, positive test for COVID, and everyone on the team started replying in the email chain, going to get tested, going to get tested, going to get tested. So they took the initiative. And then there was even an agent that said, "You know what, for the person who's sick, I'll gladly go pick up groceries and deliver them to their house." So the staff you've chosen, Echo Properties, it just shows the teamwork here and the family that we are. And COVID's a tough time for a lot of people. A lot of people have lost their jobs. Businesses may be shutting down. They've lost loved ones. In our aspect, that we recreated ourselves, almost not recreated ourselves, but got creative, I guess, and found a way to stand out and keep going forward when it comes to real estate, with the virtual open houses, the virtual business interviews. It's just an amazing thing that we do here.
When something changes, you've got to change with it, and it let us go forward with all sorts of things that we thought about doing and we had built a lot of technology that supported it. And then there was some money that we put in to do a lot of the streaming and everything. And our model just sets up for it. So some of it was fun, just being creative and figuring a lot of stuff out. It seems like that was the first 3 months. It must have been like a year's worth of, work went into that. And you had to redesign the website. There's a lot of pages to start doing. And there was, new pages that were totally created out of nothing. And there's a policy page, your listing, what you do on your whole listing process changed. What you do in your listing changed. A lot of things where we went more automated in the office and much more paperless. I thought we were paperless before. We've really went, paperless. And then we have ancillary, businesses, the closing business. You can now close, or certain title companies now that are doing, you don't have to come to the office. And there's notaries now that you can do things on an online basis. The mortgage industry is doing a lot of it, but they're not totally caught up. They can do appraisals now without going in the house. I think that'll come back, because you need to walk the house to really get the value of it. but there's pieces that they're connecting those two together. So from this, there may be 3 to 5 years, of advancement that's happening all in a very short period of time, things that needed to be happen. And that's going on all over society. You may not shop at Pier 1 anymore in a physical way, but you're still buying pillows in an e-commerce, type of way. And then there's jobs created in those arenas as well. So there's different types of shifts that are going on right now in society. But I think our industry will go back, more than halfway to an in-person office, because I think you learn better in person. It's easier to do more training in person. We train differently now too. There's much more. The amount of training that we're doing on a weekly basis is crazy. There's one-on-one ones that Craig's doing that are more strategy session types of things, and Blake is doing more, how to use different types of things and taking general questions. We're doing our weekly sales meeting, and that's a roundtable internally, that we're doing. So it's a lot of stuff that's happening that we're able to concentrate on and get better at what we do.
And just as you said, the new agents that come on board at Echo Fine Properties, I meet with virtually. It's always funny. I say to them, well, eventually I'll meet you in person for real, but right now I'm meeting you virtually. Things eventually will go back to normal. But what we're doing with the virtual open houses, I don't think that will go away, like I said, because it's another way to market your property. So, if you're sitting there watching this broadcast and thinking, I'm thinking about selling my house, I'm thinking about buying, I work here, but I would say choose Echo Fine Properties because of everything that we offer. You're not going to get that from other real estate companies, and the passion that goes behind it, and what Jeff's done with the photographers, with myself, with
the reason you don't is that everybody, when we take a listing on the listing side, we have a game plan. So if you out there watching at home got your real estate license tomorrow, what happens in real estate is that you pay for all the advertising. It's out of your pocket. So you've got to collect all this stuff and do it all. And then when you're doing that, now you're in the business of, you're not out in the field networking and selling the house. You're in the business of administering and creating ads and doing things. And then you've got to decide if you want to spend it. Or, what a lot of agents do is they hope that it sells quickly, right away, and then they don't have to do any marketing. If they want to do something, you've got to piecemeal all these independent contractors together, and then they don't have synergy of working together. So that if you need to get together with Cam, or you need to get together with Blake, or Craig, everything's so synergistic, and the agents intimately well, and everybody's quirks and how they, when they're communicating to you, what they're saying, even if they don't say it, properly, like me yesterday saying positive, negative, with you.
Yeah. Fortunately, Jeff sent out the email that said I was positive, but I'm not. I'm negative. So thank you.
So. But what that does though is it assures that everything that is supposed to happen occurs, because not only it's in writing that we're doing it, but we're paying for it internally. So the agent doesn't have any of those costs in there. They're never concerned with it. So the house is getting treated, properly in its presentation, because everything ends up happening that it's supposed to happen within a very short, period of time, within a 2-week period of time, less, if the weather's good and all that. But like you said, a lot of this is none of this is going away. It's like, why would Netflix go away? Why would people like to, search from home? They like to search from their device. They can search when it's convenient for them. They don't have to go make an appointment just to go see the house, or just look only at pictures on an online basis. This gives them an entirely different look and a feel, and with 3D and video, it really gives you the feel where you can walk through the house and know the house. Our buyers sometimes know the house much better than we do, because they've researched it that in depth, because the tools are on there in order to do so.
And speaking of tools, the website, echofineproperties.com, there's so many tools on there. And we'll put some links below to our website, to the different sections of our website. There's so much on there. I'm telling you, Jeff, I think, spent his entire life creating this website, and he's gotten a few gray hairs, I think, from it, but it is amazing. There's so many tools on there, and ways to search by lifestyle. different businesses we profile, and we put the virtual open houses on there, and now we can go live through the website. There's just so much that it offers.
There's a lot of statistical information and very hyper-local statistical information by subdivision or by lifestyle. So if you're searching for an equestrian community, or you're searching for, golf, and you want something that's close to dinner and dining, it lets you do all those different things and learn the area well, like from the videos that we're doing, or we've done videos just on lifestyle, or a country club video that profiles all the country clubs in the Palm Beaches. And there's a 1.5 minute video on each, so you can go through it, and there's a breakdown of statistically what each one costs. We have information on what pets are allowed in condos. So all sorts of local information to learn the area, and then break it down into the subdivision. And if you want to search and look at homes that have 3D VR tours, you can. So it gives you an incredible amount of options. And we give you there's also on each particular listing, we bring in 3 different valuations that it gives you right there. It gives you like the Zillow, the Zestimate. And there's reasons why that is not a accurate piece. And I always say to somebody says to me, well, Zillow said my house is worth X. My answer always is, so Rob, when Zillow came over, what do they think of your kitchen?
Yeah. I haven't seen
they say, well, honey, did they come over? Did you remember the lady from Zillow coming over? And they don't. So they don't know if you put a new kitchen or you put a new roof on or anything. So Zillow estimates can be wildly off, sometimes as much as 30%. So you have to have a human being who knows what they're doing really go in there and understand it, and understand what's happening in the immediate market. Well, because there's a lot of different factors. Staging gets into it and can increase value, but that's a whole different discussion.
Anything else?
No, that's about it with with COVID. A lot of good takeaways from it, and it's just being safe and being cautious out there, and keeping our clients and our staff as safe as possible.
And I think one other thing, Jeff, with COVID, and you've taught me this, and it's a great lesson learned, is you got to stay positive. You have to stay positive. You get sucked into the negativity. I think when this first started, your thing you said to me was, turn off the TV, turn off the TV. And, you take in a lot of stuff and you see the negativity and you become negative, but you have to stay positive and know that we're going to get out of this, and we'll hug each other again and slap 5, but we'll still do things virtually too.
But, a lot of that was when it happened originally, I was really concerned. And, I went through the whole 2006 to 11 market and survived that. We saw half the realtors in our area went out of business, and sales went down. They were a quarter of what they were, and the average price went down over 30%. So it's like, is this going to be that? You don't know what's going on. So it was pretty scary, and you're watching it. And my 16-year-old said, that's where that came from. She said, Dad, turn the news off. And then it's just concentrate. And I remembered back what I did then was just put your head down and concentrate on what you can control. But our area ended up as we didn't have the supply problem that we did. That was really studying the supply. That was a fraudulent supply situation. And then what happened nationwide that brought the country into an economic, situation. And we don't have that in our area. And our area is much more, there's more population here, and everybody from the West at this point has a relative or a friend in the area. So our area became more desirable. And then the tax situation is much more desirable. And with this, there's more remote jobs available over here too. And then, people, I'm looking out the window right now, and there's palm trees and a bird in the water, and that's not, when it gets cold up north, you're looking at a lot of snow and slush and
trees, no leaves.
No leaves, right? So there's lots of reasons to be down here. So we're very fortunate in our particular area. And the one determination that I've had is if the country ever took an economic hit in any way, is 2 to 3 levels better than the rest of the country. So we're really going to be we're in much better shape than other more urban areas. Whereas when you go back to 2008, it was us and Orlando and Arizona and Vegas where there was the surplus of housing. Right now, it's the cities that are really seeing the hit. So we're very, our industry's very fortunate. Everybody's kind of appreciating their home more, and they're looking for different features, you know, whether it's pools or, you know, more storage in the kitchen and things like that.
One last thing. The only downfall too, I think, I don't know if there will be a fantasy football season this year for us. I've thought about it, but I think it's just too hard to do a fantasy football season because someone may catch COVID and they'll be out, and that's your star running back. So I'm going to send an email out later to the crew to see what they think about this next fantasy football season.
Well, I'm in if you're doing it. I'm doing it in my other league. I've done that league like, I think 10 straight years. So, but I think it's going to be really, it'll be how you compile your rosters and figuring out, you know, what you need, and if there's extra backups, and there's different rules. If somebody goes down, you get an automatic, you know, reserve. So that can play, like, because you're gonna have game day decisions and stuff, or you may have a cancellation of a game.
Right. Yep. It's going to be a weird.
I don't know why they don't go to one, like go to Tokyo, like where the Olympic Village is,
Yeah.
and just take the whole village and because everything's built there. You don't need a stadium. You just need a field.
Yeah, the NBA has done great with that, with the bubble in Orlando up there. They've done a great job.
Hockey was, you know, I'm a Blackhawks fan, and I watched all the games, you know, the Hawks were in. They won their first and they lost their second, but they've had no incidents in the NHL. You know, partially because I think they're playing in Edmonton. So, you know, who wants to?
It's probably cold up right now, isn't it?
Yeah. How are the Eagles going to do? How are the Eagles going to do up there this year?
Well, Carson Wentz here says that we are gonna make the playoffs, and we'll see from there. I'm hoping a good season this year. We'll see. I know all the Cowboys fans are going to say they're going to win the division, but it's not happening.
Yeah, I'm a Bears fan, so Nick Foles.
You got our boy Nick.
Yeah. Do you have a tattoo of Nick?
Yes, I do. He's on my back. Maybe I'll share that in the post below. I won't take my.
So you've got a Bear. So you're basically a Bears fan.
Well, it's Nick Foles in an Eagles jersey, of course, holding the Super Bowl trophy. But,
can we see one tattoo, Rap?
I'll show one on my arm.
So what is that?
That is Jesus and the Last Supper. That's a religious one. And then Mr. Tiki guy over here.
All right, so Tiki guy and Jesus, and then Nick Foles on your back.
So, folks, when you see me, when I come to your house, you won't see my face. You will see this. So I want to say to everybody, you know, stay positive, keep the positivity. We're gonna get out of this, and you know, trust Echo Fine Properties, please. We will take good care of your home and market it the correct way. So.
Hey, one other thing about Echo that people sometimes don't realize, we are a local company. We are based in Palm Beach County. Where headquarters is in Palm Beach Gardens, and all the jobs that take place here from a corporate level, when you support Echo, you're supporting a local company. And most of a lot of companies are chains. There's, you know, some out of Texas, out of New York, out of Seattle, out of, you know, California. But when you're supporting Echo, all those dollars are staying in the county. They're not being shuffled out to California or to Washington State or to Texas. Nothing wrong with those, but if you want your dollars staying in here, we are truly a local company, not a franchise of something where the dollars are going outside of the county.
Well said. Well said. Well, Jeff, thank you. And that does it for another edition of Real Estate Roundtable. We'll see you next time.